If you're new to trail running or you're looking to pick it up in the new year, then stick around because I'm going to give you some advice that I've picked up from my experience trail running to hopefully make it a bit easier for people that are just starting. I've always liked running, but I've done most of my running on road, and I know some of you might like running on the road, but for me personally, I've done it for quite a while and it gets boring and quite repetitive, especially where I live, really. So when I joined a running club and they brought me up on the trails and the hills and all this countryside, it kind of opened my eyes up to sort of new experiences rather than just running on the boring same old roads. Coming out places like this makes it way more interesting and sort of made me fall in love with running even more than I already was. So what I'm thinking is if I can give some advice that I've picked up over the last few months, it might do people that are looking to get into trail running some good. One of the main things that I think you should do if you're trying to pick up trail running is before you go anywhere, make sure you tell someone where you're going, because it might seem like an obvious thing to do, but there's always a chance that you might fall or get injured, and it's just good to let someone know roughly where you're going and how long you're going to be. This stuff in any particular order, I'm just sort of ramming it off the top of my head as I do my run today, which I'm hoping to do about 13 miles. My next bit of advice is most of us runners have probably got some kind of running watch, or at least most people have got mobile phones. So taking a mobile phone or your running watch so that you can sort of follow the maps if you get lost, or even download the maps to your watch if you're able to do that, it'd be a really good idea, just in case you end up getting lost somewhere if you've not really been on the trails before. And you don't need to go out and buy a fancy watch just to get like maps on it and stuff. I mean, you can do if you want to, but there's no need really. You can just use your mobile phone. There's apps such as Strava, I think there's an app called AllTrails, and I'm pretty sure you might have to sign up to the pro membership of some of these apps, but you can download the maps for offline use. And that brings me on to my next point as well, is being prepared, checking the weather before you go. You don't want to go running when it's nice and sunny like this, and then all of a sudden it takes a turn for the worst. It starts snowing really bad, or it starts raining really bad, and you're not prepared. You haven't brought the right clothing, like a waterproof jacket maybe, or a light if you're not prepared for it to go dark. So definitely check the weather before you go. Make sure that you're prepared for any type of weather that might come later on that day, especially if you're going on a longer trail run. Another thing that might be a good idea, especially if you're going on longer trail runs in more remote places, is getting one of the small first aid kits to pop in your bag. Now this is something that I haven't done because I'm not going too far out. I'm only going about 13 miles and it's a round trip. But if you're going somewhere a bit more remote, then taking a small first aid kit in your bag with a bit of food, maybe bits of maybe energy bars and stuff, just in case you start feeling unwell or you have a bit of a fall or you get a cut or something, at least you've got first aid and food to keep you going while you get back. My next bit of advice is to get some proper trail running shoes, because when I first started I weren't sure if I were going to like it or be able to do it, so I went running in my road shoes. Now luckily the road shoes that I had a fair bit of grip. I think they were the Asics Nimbus, Asics Gel Nimbus or something like that. How do we get out of here? It's not letting me in. Oh my god, you can just go around. Bloody hell. Literally struggling to open the gate and you can just walk around this way. What a muppet. Why'd you close it then? It says please close. Yeah, so as I was saying, I think the shoes that I were running in with they call Asics Gel Nimbus or Nimbus Gel 23s, I think they were, or 22s, and they had quite a bit of grip on, so they didn't do too bad. But I would highly suggest getting a pair of trail running shoes, because they do have more grip and some of them have a bit more stability for when you're like sort of tripping and slipping on rocks a little bit. I'm using the Hoka Speed Goat 5s at the minute. It's the first pair of trail shoes I've had and I absolutely love them. I think I might get another pair or wait till the 6 come out and buy them. But yeah, definitely invest in some trail shoes once you've got a bit of spare cash to get some. if you are thinking about going out trail running in the winter months or when it's just dark in general, then a head torch and brighter clothing is very important, especially if you're on like in the middle of nowhere, because it's even darker than running on the streets. There's no sort of street lights, no lights from houses or cars. It is literally pitch black sometimes, where you can barely see your hand in front of your face. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but a head torch, you can pick them up quite cheap these days. Mine were only like £20. But a head torch so that you can see where you're going, maybe with rechargeable batteries or a tech spare batteries with you. Same goes for bright clothing as well, because cars go past on these small roads pretty quickly. When you're out trail running, sometimes you've got to head on one of the roads, like the country roads, and it's ideal for them to see you, especially if it's getting darker, with reflective clothing and just brighter clothing in general. That's the same for any type of running really. When it's darker, definitely wearing reflective and bright clothing for safety. One thing I bet people don't do too much when they go out running is actually stop and have a look around, taking your surroundings, have a look at some of the stuff that you're running past, instead of just sort of trying to speed through it and run with your head down, because trail running can be a bit different. It's not necessarily about speed, not for me anyway. It's more about just being out in places like this. All right. So yeah, it's more about being out in places like this and taking it all in, instead of just running round the same old streets, at least for me anyway. So that's why some of my runs take way longer than they should. So that's probably one of my biggest bits of advice that I've picked up while trail running, is not to just speed through it all, to actually enjoy it, slow down, even walk a little bit if you have to, just take in your surroundings and see how beautiful the countryside can actually be. Another thing that I've picked up on, and this is coming from some of the longer runs that I've done recently, is that you don't have to run up the hills. Sometimes the hills are extremely steep, and if you can run up them, then great. But for me personally, some of the hills are so steep that I just walk fast up them, like a power walk. There's no chance I could run like 10 to 13 mile distances or longer and running up some of these steep hills that you see around here or out and about on the trails. So don't be afraid to even walk slowly up the hills, just so you've got more energy to carry on for the rest of your run. Anyway, so that's just bits of advice that I've picked up in my time trail running. If you are looking to get into trail running, then I hope it helps. I know it may seem obvious to some people or to some more experienced runners, trail runners, but I just thought it might help someone that's thinking about getting into it. If I did miss any important tips or advice, then put them in the comments below. Maybe something I can pick up. If you like the video, then please don't forget to hit subscribe to get more content about running, specifically trail running, and more sort of running vlogs than that. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've had a good Christmas, and I'll see you guys in the next video.